Hey, today we're making homemade mac and cheese with pancetta. And right now I've got some water I'm going to get ready to boil. I got a little bit of olive oil in the pot, along with I've pre-seasoned the pot with salt. Always pre-season your water with salt when you're cooking pasta, because it's the only time you're going to be able to season it. And then we're going to be cooking half that box in there until it's al dente. Al dente meaning not all the way cooked, just slightly undercooked, because when you put it in the pan with the cheese and everything and put it in the oven, it's going to cook the rest of the way. So we're going to come back in a little bit and just see where we're going from there. Alright, next I'm going to be using 3 different cheeses in this. We're going to do 2 cups of Gruyere. We're going to do 1 cup of sharp cheddar cheese. I decided to go with white. And we're going to do about 1/4 cup of grated Parmesan cheese for the mixture. We're going to save some great Parmesan cheese for the top before we're done, but that's actually what's going to go in the mixture. Alright, we'll come back. Okay guys, while my pasta is boiling, I am melting 3 tablespoons of butter in a medium saucepan, and then I'm going to whisk in 1/4 cup of flour and 2.5, well, first I'm going to do the 1/4 cup of flour and get that to where it's a nice thick mixture, nice and smooth. And then I'm going to add 2.5 cups of whole milk. I'm going to use half and half because I want mine to be a little thicker today. And then you're going to cook that, bring it to a boil, and then reduce it right away to a low heat for another 2 minutes. Then you're going to bring that off the heat, and then we're going to add our cheese. We got our sharp cheddar, we've got our Gruyere, and we have our Parmesan. And we're going to add that into the pot here, get it melted down. We'll add the pasta back in, and then I'll tell you what we're doing from there. Okay, now I'm adding my flour to my butter, and I'm not adding it all in at once, because if you do, it's going to get clumpy on me. So just give it a little bit of a time until you have it all incorporated, and then you're going to add the milk after that. Okay, I've got all my flour incorporated, so I'm going to just stir in a little bit of milk at a time so I can blend that all in, keep it from getting clumpy. I'll come back when we got all the milk in. Alright, so I've got my butter and flour roux, and I've slowly blended in all my milk, and I'm just going to bring this to a boil. And I've also added my nutmeg. I went ahead and added the nutmeg first. I didn't tell you before, we had 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutmeg. And I'm going to bring this to a boil, and once I've got it to a boil, I'm going to turn the heat down and cook it for maybe 2 more minutes, and then I'll take it off the heat and add my cheese. Oh, it's getting pretty close to being a boil right now. And just keep stirring it, because you do not want to burn milk. Once you've burnt it, you're done. Recipe over, dump it, start it from scratch. Learned the hard way when I was doing some clam chowder one time. Whole stock pot clam chowder ruined because I turned my head for a little too long. Anyway, we'll come back when I'm adding the cheese in. Alright, it's time to add my cheese. I'm going to start adding my cheese in. Whisking that in there. Get that nice and mixed in. I'm going to add my pancetta too while I'm at it. And give it a nice little bite, those little chunks of pancetta. And the rest of my cheese. And then we're going to add the pasta. Alright, come back after I add the pasta. Alright, I've got all my pasta in there. And just got it about mixed up, so what I'm going to do next is put this in a pan and start on my Panko crumbs. Okay, after I had gotten that milk up to a boil, I let it cook on low for about 2 more minutes, constantly stirring. You don't want to burn that milk. Then I took it off the heat. I added all my cheese. Once I had the cheese incorporated, I added my penne pasta. I added an eighth of a teaspoon of nutmeg and about a half teaspoon of black pepper. And I put a little bit of black pepper on the top as well. Last thing I'm doing right now, I'm browning up some panko crumbs to go on top. And then this will go in the oven for about 20 to 30 minutes at 375, and we are done. Oh, I also added some pancetta. That was just my own little add to it. You can do that, or pork belly, or whatever you want, or nothing. And I'll show you the final product once we're done, okay? Okay, I've got my breadcrumbs. You can use regular breadcrumbs. I used panko, which I used 1 teaspoon of butter and a 1/4 cup of panko crumbs in a pan. Melted the butter first, then added the panko crumbs and browned them. Put them on top of the mac and cheese, and then sprinkled about 2 tablespoons of Parmesan on top of that. Now we're going into the oven. There we go, guys. Finished product. A mac and cheese with pancetta with a nice little crumb crust on top. Gonna taste good. I pre-tested it, but I'm taking this to work for some friends. I tasted it a little bit earlier anyway, right before I put it in the oven, and pretty awesome. So keep tuning in, and you're gonna become awesome just like me. Ha!